to share with us about the family business culture. I think it's very important because only you can tell us what is the family business culture in Poland, okay? So now I think let's welcome Professor Alan Carr for the next 1 hour presentation. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, thank you. Thank you for greeting me like a star. I have never had so many photos with my students. All right, so let me introduce myself. I represent Nicolaas Copernicus University. We will talk a little bit about my university, my city, my country, just to get you familiarized. But let me introduce my colleague, Professor Marcin Kuzel. We prepared this guest lecture for you, but let me start with the first association. I was here in November, so maybe I met some of you during class. If you are wondering where Poland is, this is a Central European country. In fact, we are in the very center of Europe, and we are border from the west with Germany. From the east, we have quite a difficult border right now because we are, among others, bordering with Ukraine. So you know that there is a war in Ukraine. For now, there is no danger in our country, but you never know. It's always something complicated. Okay. Does anyone from you visited Poland? No. What is your first association when you hear Poland? Do you have any? Oh, that was... I thought so. So, if you are not familiar with this name, it means you are not really interested in football, yeah? Maybe you like other sports, so your association may be Iga Świątek, the tennis champion, yeah? So this is something you may be aware of. Of course, there may be a lot of association, depends on how well you know Europe, Central Europe. We are quite traditional society, which will be quite important when talking about family business. When people think about Poland, about visiting Poland, they usually think about our monuments, old Gothic towns, listed on a UNESCO heritage list. They think about cuisine because we have very good food. They think about folklore because we still have our culture. They think that we are very religious people. In some cases this is true, but you know that society is changing. Still we have a lot of customs. Here on one of the pictures you see the food that we usually eat at Christmas. We are very, let's say, warm people. We like to welcome guests. And you see Nicolaas Copernicus monument wearing Ukrainian flag because we were the first country to host the refugees from Ukraine. Approximately 2 million of them, so you can imagine how big it was. And at the beginning it was like that really the government couldn't cope with it, so people opened hearts and opened houses and hosted the people in their houses. Still we have quite unspoiled nature with bisons, for example. We have very rich history with some names that are important when we are at the university, when we are talking about discoveries, cultures, and so on, so on. So you have this black and white photo of a lady called Marie Curie. She was Polish scientist, the only woman to win twice a Nobel Prize for chemistry and for physics. And also Frédéric Chopin, also sounds quite French, but he is Polish, he was Polish. Lech Wałęsa, the solidarity leader that played an important role when talking about transformation, which is important in this lecture, and also the Pope, John Paul II. So these are the associations you may have. When talking about Poland, its economy, we are the fifth largest country in the European Union by area, 6 when we talk about the population. We are, depending how we calculate this, 6th or 7th largest economy, and of course one of the fastest growing economies in Central and Eastern Europe. If you are wondering what we have in common, how we compare our countries, we have a lot of similarities. We have quite similar population, depending if we calculate those Ukrainian guests or not. As you can see, in terms of economic results, we belong to higher income countries, and our GDP per capita is also quite high and higher than yours. But when talking about the economic indicators, you can see that real GDP growth, when you calculate this, in your case, is higher. So I'm sure there will be this catch-up effect visible soon, and soon our numbers will be like quite similar. So this is something what I have to indicate, because your country develops really fast. This is an amazing pace. Maybe my data is not the newest in all the cases, but I just wanted to have the numbers that are comparable for the same year. And you may think what we are doing here, I'm here for the second time. It's true that we have quite a vivid collaboration, academic collaboration, and it is almost 10,000 kilometers, but we do have the exchange, we have a lot of contacts. I visited Malaysia and Taylor's University in November, then your professors visited us, and now we revisit again. I'm sure there will be some time when also students from Malaysia visit us. That's why I would like to tell you a little bit before we start the lecture about the university and possibilities for you also to be in Poland. So we are one of the biggest universities in Poland, but we are only 20,000 students comparing to Taylor's University. This is really nothing, but this is the reality in Poland. We do not have such big universities anymore, and we are research university. That's why our concentration goes not maybe only on teaching, mostly on teaching, but also on research. And we have the brand name, the patron, that is Nicholas Copernicus. This is a Renaissance scholar that was born in Toruń, so still you can visit his home where he was born. He is a good role model for today, because he was someone who was very conducted interdisciplinary research. He was, of course, astronomer. He is the author of this revolutionary work that convinced people that it is not Earth, that it is in the center of universe. We can call it like Copernican revolution at that time. But he was also a mathematician, medicine doctor, he was an economist, so really a good role model for us. He traveled Europe to study, because he studied in Italy. He was born, as I mentioned, in Toruń, and he lived later in Poland at that time as well. So my university still is considered quite young in Europe, because we have universities that were established in let's say like in 13th century or so. Our university was founded after Second World War. Right now we have almost 20,000 students, and one of the 16 faculties is our business school, so Faculty of Economic Sciences and Management. 2 years ago we celebrated 55 years. The building looks like this, so it's a little bit smaller than your campus. But still, this is the biggest faculty in our university with approximately 2,500 students on all levels. And we are engaged in activities like scientific and teaching, and the faculty is approximately 120 persons. And we have accreditations like you have. We were the first public school to be accredited with AACSB, so it was already in 2015. And then we received AMBA accreditation for our MBA program. We have other national and international accreditations. Our faculty is known for something which is still quite unique in Poland, so offering programs in English, which is not so common, but it starts to be more and more popular. And we offer education on 2 programs when it comes to a bachelor level. It is management, so clearly only we call it like this. Then you have several specializations to choose. And right now we start also digital economy in English. This is our new program. We have it in Polish, but in English will be new. And then we have master programs, which are quite popular in Europe. People still continue to be on master level, and we have management, finance and accounting and economics with some specialization. I would like to show this opportunity to study on a master level because we have something unique which is not so popular, and you cannot find it easily all over Europe. I mean, these are double and triple diplomas. We have a very large group of partner universities, but with some of them we are even closer because we build a joint or a double programs. It means that if you are a student of our university, you are enrolled on master program for 4 semesters, and you spend 1 or 2 semesters at our partner universities, and you defend the master thesis, and after this you receive the diplomas from 2 European universities, or in some cases even 3. So when you study management, it's us and university in Angers in France. When you study economics, then you spend 1 semester in France, 1 semester in Italy, and you receive 3 diplomas. And when you are keen on finance and accounting, then you spend at least one semester. It can be 2 in Germany, and you receive the diploma from Toruń in Poland and from Oldenburg. It's in North Germany. Something that is extremely important for our students, all the travel that you have, it is paid with Erasmus program. We came here with Erasmus funds. This is the EU program that promotes academic exchange, and it's also connected with student mobilities, and each our student, no matter what is your nationality, receives a grant when you are a member for double or triple diploma program. So I will send this presentation so you can look to our webpage to see how it really works. I think this is something nice. And I don't know if you are familiar with the idea also of joint diploma. In Europe, it's very popular, not only in Europe. We create programs where universities join forces, and they offer 1 joint program. When you are a graduate, you receive 1 diploma, but issued jointly by several institutions. We have such a program in governance and administration of leisure and sport, something which is very important. Each of the enrolled students received a grant, and it is 1,400 euros per month per 24 months. Also, no matter what is your nationality, you don't have to be the EU national. So we are truly internationalized. Every year we welcome students from all over the world. I hope maybe someday we will also welcome students from Malaysia. If you are not keen on studying for a longer period in Poland, we have an offer for shorter period, every year we have a summer school. This is my school that I chair, but there are several that are offered. Basically, the idea is that you spend in our university 4 weeks in the summer. We are paying for your accommodation and expenses. You just have to fly in and be insured. And of course, win in the competition when the registration is open. Right now for this year, it is closed because we usually register candidates somewhere in March or April, but maybe next year you can think about this, and maybe it will be something really for you. If it's on our website, and I usually send the invites to our partner universities as well, so we should do it, yeah. It's our office that informs the network of our partners. Okay, but there is a special website dedicated to summer schools in Europe, so you can look for it. Maybe you can still find some open calls for this summer even somewhere in Europe. It's a lot of possibilities. Almost each university hosts such a initiative. It only depends how big is the grant, what they offer. Yeah, in our case, we offer the accommodation and students' house for 4 weeks, some daily allowance and cultural programs, scientific programs, certificate, all this. You have to arrive to Poland, and of course, as I mentioned, you have to be insured. If you have any questions, we will have a session for this later, so it can be about the lecture, and it can be also about the specifics of our programs, university, and so on, whatever you are interested in. So, as I understood, you have the lecturing about family business. Yeah? In Poland, of course, as in any other country, this is a big deal, because usually family businesses are important for economies, yeah, like SMEs. We say they are the majority of companies, but we have a lot of research on how the family businesses performed, and we start, of course, with some definition, which is quite tricky. We do not have any agreed term. But let's agree that no matter, of course, what is the organization, if there is a family related by blood, marriage, adoption, whatever, then we have this significant influence on decision making in the company's vision. Often, of course, we have the intention of maintaining the business within the family. Then we can call this commercial organization a business, a family business. So these businesses usually own a substantial stake in the businesses and play a role in management and control. What is the situation in Poland? Of course, we have the different, let's say, history, and I'm sure you are not very familiar with the history of Poland and especially Central Europe, but we have something what we can call the post-communist legacy. So we used to be a country with the system that is completely different to the one that we have now. Yeah? So after Second World War, Poland fell into the influence of USSR, and it meant basically that we had a centrally planned economy. And in this economy, the entrepreneurship was not really encouraged. Yeah? Rather, we had very big companies, state-owned companies, not always very efficient, and they operated on the market. Poland was a little bit maybe in a better condition and in better situation to other countries, because we were never the republic of USSR. Yeah? We were satellite country, but quite independent state. So still, for example, we had the agriculture that was really like, we had really some private ownership there. So this spirit in the nation remained, yeah? So we were not so collective as in other countries that you may think as also post-communist countries, or even today, you can compare it to the systems that we can still see that they have it like in old times. So most of family businesses in Poland and generally in Central and Eastern Europe today are really the first generation, because they were established when it was possible to establish a company. So the changes in Poland started in 1989, maybe a little bit earlier. There was some possibility to establish a company, but from that date, let's say, it was possible to establish a company. We had a law that was called like the freedom of establishment, and so on, so on. So it was a time when there was a big movement and everyone wanted to be an entrepreneur, to catch up very quickly, because we were quite poor comparing to the Western Europe, yeah? So everyone wanted to earn some money. The businesses were rather small. I can tell you the story of a person in Torun that is probably the wealthiest person in our city right now, not only in the city. He started because his mother was, he had a small drug store, and he was like buying medicine all over the country, going with his backpack and those drugs in the backpack and selling it to another. Right now he's a stock exchange, he owns the stock exchange company, and this is one of the biggest retailer in Europe. So the development was like this, from his backpack to a big company that sells, produces medicine, and so on, so on. So this is a success story. Of course, not everyone developed in the same way, in the same pace. There are not everybody that is so successful on the market. A lot of them were lost. But these were the beginnings, and this is something what we usually have to underline, that this is something specific to Central and Eastern Europe, this transformation period where everything started. I was at that time in high school, and some of my colleagues even decided to start their own business, not to study, because the time was so good for starting a business. And maybe right now they are graduating from the universities because they have time for it finally. So the companies that we have in Central and Eastern Europe, the family businesses, are relatively young when we compare them to Western Europe. So this is something what we have to underline. And it has its consequences when we talk about the ownership and governance. The family firms often have very tight control by founders or family members, with no little to external equity. So maybe right now it begins to change, but still you can find companies like this. So we have this founder dominance, usually a father of the family that established a company, and still today in his quite old age is leading the company. And so the succession is, let's say, a challenge that we see, because there is a lot of such processes like urgently to be done. It's true that there are a lot of informal governance, because those people usually were not educated managers. Yeah, they were educated in the communist era, so we had some economics at that time, but it was not MBA program, that's for sure, yeah? So this is something different. They were like intuition, they were leading the business by intuition. That's why probably not so many succeeded, but of course, let's say, so many businesses were created, so still this is still visible on the market. And as we are quite still traditional society, there are some cultural and social aspects that can be underlined. Still, we are quite religious society, so hard work and values like this are important when managing a company. We have strong regional identity, like national identity, social responsibility. So this is something really, really important. Usually those managers, those owners are quite easy to be convinced that they should do something for the local society and so on, so on. And it comes also to the employees. We have quite a high ratio of employee loyalty. So this is something like a personalized work culture, probably because we know each other in that company and people usually work for decades there. There are some other aspects, like when we talk about financial and strategic behavior, they are quite conservative when it comes to financing. They have a long-term orientation, they focus on stability, reputation, continuity, so maybe they are quite cautious, they are like very reluctant when it comes to innovations in some cases. And of course, when we see that the succession is a challenge, then we have also some changes when it comes to law. In 2018, we introduced new legislation allowing, the succession, successor trustee law, and so we have the rules that allows you to inherit legally and easier, let's say. It's not so complicated process anymore, but still there is a very high risk involved in this. So when I was to sum up the recent trends that we can see is professionalization, increased internationalization, something new, and this challenge of succession, and also something which have to be mentioned, what has to be mentioned here in such an audience. So this is this generational shift. Young generations are different, you know it, we differ, and this is both risk but also an opportunity. So there is a lot that is ahead of us when we talk about the future. If you are interested in how the business, the family business looks like in Central and Eastern Europe, then we have PricewaterhouseCoopers report on Central and Eastern Europe. Right now we are in quite stabilized, I would say, phase, because as you can see in CEO, generally the companies grow steadily. The majority of firms, this yellow color shows that they are quite stable. They are not planning, they are not expecting downsizes, and they are not also expecting in majority very rapid growth, which is also important here. They say in their answers when there is some survey targeted on them, like what kind of goals are important for them. As you can see, the most important, but maybe not so visibly different from growth, is customer satisfaction. They care a lot about customer satisfaction. You can also see that environmental impact is important, social impact. So these are the answers that are really important here. Also, this succession challenge is very underlined in this report that I mentioned, and it concerns all Central and Eastern Europe. So it's not only for Poland, it's also for other countries. Most of the owners, they care about protecting the business, and this is the most important thing. Also, the family, that this family character is something that they found extremely important. So this is something that you can mention, and there are a lot of data that is connected with this. When it comes to Poland, and only Poland, family businesses are estimated to be more than 1 million in Poland. So it's a big group. And when we have, like, in very short time, the succession issues in most of them, then you really think how legal firms are engaged. So it's really the time to start planning, and still some of the owners, they behave like they will live forever. Yeah, it's very hard sometimes to talk to them that they should care about the succession. Yeah, they provide a really substantial number of jobs. They contribute to Polish GDP significantly when we talk about Polish companies, excluding foreign investors. Of course, this is, like I mentioned, it's this family company challenge for succession. So transforming leadership and also passing it through to the next generation. So basically, it will be the first succession. We faced some of the successions because they are widely known when it's a big company. We had the situation that the wealthiest man in Poland died. He had 2 children. So we all observed how this succession was organized. But of course, this was completely different at that time because already the children were educated, well educated, and they succeeded. There was no problem. They were somehow also engaged in the company businesses, because at that time it was let's say the biggest companies involved. I'm not sure if you are familiar with the brands that we have. They are rather probably brands that operate on Polish market, but they are really, in some cases, the success stories. Like we have the big on the left top and also down. We have 2 companies that produce something which is essential in your climate. I mean ice cream. Yeah. So they are big companies right now, and they are really family businesses. Still, like Grycan, this is the surname, so it's even the brand name is taken from the surname. And it's very often that we have the surnames as brand names. So Henryk Kania producing meat and also Olewnik, there are like surnames for the producers. In some cases, like Black, Red, White Furniture, Computronic, as you can guess, it's a computer business. They are selling IT products. I'm not sure, maybe you have some of the brand names. Dr. Irena Eris, so also a name, also with the title is important. She is probably one of the biggest producers of cosmetics, very personal touch, of course mass production, but with some twist, because she designs the recipes herself. In some cases, the companies are big, enough to be known in Europe. This is the case of the company called Facro. This is a producer of windows, and this is the second in Europe when we talk about the roof windows. The first will be probably from Germany, and they are the second biggest in Europe. So really, as you can see, it's possible to develop with this transformation years to a quite large size company, even a leader on European market. If you are interested in some other elements, like for example, you can find the data in the internet when it comes to European companies and their clients. We have a lot of reports that conduct like surveys, also not from the company point of view, but from the client's point of view. And as you can see, they ask, for example, the clients, how much more are you able to pay just to buy something from Polish company and from local company, from a family business. And people, as you can see, are willing to pay a little bit more. The majority says it's up to 10%, it's okay, they would accept this. So still in our society, those values are important, so this is also still a future for the family businesses. If you are interested in researching Central and Eastern Europe family business, you can find a lot of organizations that research this sector. So as you can see, I mentioned some of the networks, foundations, and so on, so on. And we have also the European family businesses organization. They host conferences. So this is also something that is important, not only in Malaysia, but this sector is important in Europe, and for sure it is important in Central and Eastern Europe and in Poland as well. All right, so this is it from me, because I was told to leave some time from questions and answers. So this is your time. If you are interested, then we have some time also for remaining photos and so on, so on. Any questions? If not, thank you.